Thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome to my channel here at ATWG Show. That stands for Around the Way Girl, just to let you know. And today we will be doing a comparison of the Mortal Kombat edition of 2021 versus the first Mortal Kombat in 1995. Now, the reason why I will not be including the second sequel is because the sequel, in my opinion, is far left, and the first Mortal Kombat is more in line with the new one and its storyline and the premise, minus an addition of characters. So let's jump into it. The very first Mortal Kombat in 1995, of course, was unique. It was a very successful video game adaptation to film. It was on a budget of $18 million and it grossed commercially $122 million. Therefore, leading executive producers and movie makers to want to have a 3-movie installment. Now, we did not see that third film, unfortunately, because of the devastating results and failure of the 1997 sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. They halted on the production of the third one. A lot of other things played into the results of it not being fully developed. And so here we are 30 years later, actually seeing what could be considered the third installment. But I believe more so they call it a reboot. I would like to call it, actually, in my opinion, I see it more as a prequel to the 1995 movie. However, with the similarities in storyline, it could also be just the same movie. So you have the 1995 edition with all characters, including Johnny Cage, Princess Katana, Reptile, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Goro, Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, minus Jax. Jax was not introduced until the 1997 sequel. So this plot in the 1995, the similarity is the same. You have that the Outworld has already achieved the 9 tournaments, and so therefore Raiden is to prevent the 10th. So he goes and recruit Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, and he also ends up recruiting Liu Kang, and Liu Kang is actually the hero in this edition. The difference in the storyline with the 2021 is Nick Cole is actually new character created specifically for this story, which I believe may have been done purposely to separate the two. So Nick Cole never existed in your original Mortal Kombat. Also, the difference is motive. The motive in the characters in the 1995 Mortal Kombat was pure revenge. You had Liu Kang seeking revenge in the murder of his brother. You had Sonya Blade seeking revenge towards Kano for what he did to one of her close mates in combat, an Australian crime. Okay, so she was not necessarily a military person. She was more like a police officer. You also had Cage. Johnny Cage's did not necessarily have vengeance more than he wanted approval. So his character actually switched out with Sonya Blade in the 2021 adaptation, which had her wanting the approval. Follow me? So in the 2021 Mortal Kombat, you have this new character, Nick Cole, who is tapping into the spirit and the lineage of Scorpion. And in the first one, you have Liu Kang, who is simply going off of revenge for the murder of his brother. And he has help along the way, even from Princess Katana, who originally was representing the bad guy, but then became an ally. So with the difference in that was big. Okay, you had so difference in character development. This movie in this year that just came out actually made these characters more personal. We saw their families, their daughters, their wives, We saw Liu Kang and the guy with the hat, I think his name was Kung Lao. He were adoptive, so they had a connection. You also had Sonya Blade and Jax have a personal connection. So everyone had something to fight for. And even though in the 1995 version you would look at it as the revenge for something to fight for, it definitely was overshadowed by just really basically trying to fight and win the tournament to save the world. Opponents who fought in the first one was strictly mostly Liu Kang. Liu Kang ended up fighting and defeating Sub-Zero. He ended up defeating, I believe, well, no, Johnny Cage beat Scorpion. And then you had Goro, who Johnny Cage decided to take on to prove himself. And you had Sonya Blade, who I believe, let me get my memory in order. Sonya didn't fight nobody but Kano in the first one. Okay, almost was gonna fight Shang. However, the group shows up. They end up fighting as a group against Shang. So that's how that went down, and they ended up ending with Earth living on another day. However, Raiden did advise them that the fight was not over, and then they thrust into the second one, where we're introduced to new bad characters, guys, and also Jax. Okay, so there you go. So overall, my rating for the 2021 film is definitely an 8.5. The critics gave it a 6.5. I didn't understand such a low rating because, I mean, you have to admit that the visual effects in this movie was way better than the first one. So you got to give them some points there. Plot-wise, I do see why they got a low score. It did not make sense to introduce a completely new character that just basically replaced Liu Kang, who is the character from the video game. So I think if the director and writers would have just stuck to the basic characters of the video game and left the plot the same, it would have probably won over. Also, I think there's one part that could have been replaced. Instead of us painfully going through seeing Nick Cole reaches Arcana, we could have just had a montage of their training instead of showing them, like, have these pointless conversations. I felt like the whole argument when Kano was trying to reveal what his superhero power was gonna be, and you had, them do this whole Jedi mind trick on him to make him get all angry, and it come out like, we could have did without that. It could have just been a complete montage with a few still moments of us seeing them fight, and then boom, we see Shang show up, and they fight Kung Lao, and Kung Lao sacrifices himself. That could have took place. All of that could have stayed the same, and we just could have fast forwarded also to where Raiden kicks him out, and Nick Cole finds his Arcana back at home because his family is threatened. It was so many useless moments. That film could have been cut down at average 35 minutes. It was just an extra 30 minutes of filler, in my opinion, of useless plot. Also, the one mistake that they made in this movie was actually from the beginning. They got the audience invested emotionally in Scorpion's character. So to see him die, and then Nick Cole, who's never existed in the original Mortal Kombat, come into play, and he's connected through lineage or whatever. He's the great-great-grandson, all this stuff. And then at the end, we got robbed because, the last words of Scorpion was, "You'll see this face again." We do not care to see Nick Cole fight Sub-Zero. We want to see Scorpion fight Sub-Zero. So to see them have this fight scene where it's Nick Cole really leading the fight, but then Scorpion comes and helps him, and that was lame. It could have just been Scorpion and Sub-Zero. That's just my opinion. I stand behind the score of an 8.5. It does deserve it for the special effects, and also the awesome point of putting in the flawless victory, and that to me was the special touch that made you reminisce as a child, a teenager or a kid, playing that video game. So that's another reason why I have a few extra points on my rating. Leave your rating in my comment section below. Let me know how you feel about this movie. Also, which one do you prefer? Do you like the 1995 version or the 2021 version? I would like to hear your vote. Another question I have for you guys to answer is, if you were to be a Mortal Kombat character, which character would you be? Drop it in the comment section, you guys. That's all I have to review with you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you would like to support me and my channel, please hit that thumbs up. If you have not already, please hit that subscribe button. It's right next to that thumbs up. Also, double check your notification bell so you don't miss any of my lives or my shows on my channel. Also, stay tuned for more reaction and review coming up next Monday. You guys shall see me tomorrow. See you then. Bye. Peace.